Hey guys, so we're going to be looking at some new Unity functions. Sorry about that, the video is a little bit late because I was trying to get some permission from the creator of this tutorial. And finally I did receive that, but I'm not allowed to post it up on YouTube. So therefore it'll be up on a website. If you can just download the PowerPoint, then the code and all that should be on the PowerPoint. So right now I'll just get to some basic functions, but before starting that I would like to show you one of the projects that I have created. Rahul thought that it would be a good idea for me to show you all of this so that you guys can actually be motivated to work harder. So this is just the basic design. Basically it's a maze, as you can see here. So if you do play it, it does lag a bit because it is a big file. And here's the character. We just successfully made the game 3D. And as you can see over there, there's a skeleton flying. That should be in the bosses area, but I have no idea how to fix it, so maybe I'll get that done soon. Here's the jump function. Yes, it is a bit laggy because it's a big file. And the character can run, it can jump. And since I've memorized the maze, I can guide my character to the boss stage that I just completed. Let's see, this is gonna take a while, but here it is. This is the boss's area. Supposedly it's supposed to look like lava. I don't know how much it resembles it, but as soon as you get in here, you see this big place. This is where you'll find your bosses as soon as you complete some objective. The objective scene, Rahul has it, so I can't really show you that right now, but you can see that the character is holding a knife, which is pretty cool, I think. And it is supposed to be able to do weapon switch, but I don't know what Rahul set the button for weapon switch to be is. So I'm gonna have to skip over that as well. It does have a zoom in function once you changed over to a gun, which is pretty cool too. So, probably by second semester, I'm hoping that we can make something like this, maybe. But you can just see how much you can make in Unity, and we can work harder to get there. Alright, so, in class I've showed you this number wizard project, which is what I actually used to first start Unity. It's by this great guy from the site, but he's not allowing me to basically post this on YouTube, so I'm just gonna have to skip over that. But hopefully you'll be able to see the PowerPoint that I'm making, and hopefully from there you'll get some of the parts. So this is what I wanted to do today. On basically, when you click new, just title it some random project. I'm just gonna title this scene transition because that's basically what we're going to be learning today. Scene transition and buttons, and text. Those are probably the main things we're going to be learning. Make sure to check 2D because we're only going to be working with 2D for first semester. And just click create project. The first screen might look a bit different because I just updated my Unity to my latest version. But about the analytics, enabling analytics, don't worry about that. The older versions automatically enable it, and it's not that big of a deal. So this is basically the first scene. Here's the main camera. First of all, we're going to be making some folders. For this project, we're going to have some canvas items, which I'll be getting into later on. But they're usually going to be things like button, text, and all that. Some UI materials, user interface materials. But for right now, I'll name the scene. Name this folder. Excuse me. I'll be titling that scenes and saving that scene. Let's just do scene 1 because of reasons. So let's place that in there. If you go in here, I want you guys to make 2 more scenes. Scene 2 and scene 3 because we will be learning about scene transitions. Okay, so as of right now, that's all you need. Actually, let's also go ahead and create a scripts folder as well. in the scripts folder, you'll be able to create a C# script. If you see a JavaScript, yes, you can code in JavaScript in Unity, but it isn't as preferred as C#, and it isn't as I wouldn't say effective, but in terms of Unity, I would say it's more efficient to create a C# script. We'll be titling this level manager. Usually, you can title it anything you want, but usually it's important that you make sure that you can tell what it is. And usually, level manager is basically the name that people like to go by. So here's the scene hierarchy of scene 1. So when you go over to the hierarchy view, right click or control click, you'll be able to find UI. If you see in the UI section, you'll be able to see text, image, raw image, button, toggle, sliders, something, some other things that I don't really care about. Here's canvas. Don't worry about that, because when you try to create one of these, it'll automatically generate a canvas for you. So the first thing I'll be making is a button. As soon as you create a button, you notice that it created a canvas for you. Now, a good question came up in class. Here's this tiny little main camera, and here's a canvas. How can the main camera capture the canvas? Because if you look at it, the main camera is way too small for the canvas. Well, that's because canvas has been expanded out. Originally, the canvas is supposed to fit the main camera, but just to make the buttons and text and all that easily adjustable, they basically expanded this out. So when you click this play button, then it'll automatically get resized into the shape of the main camera. Pretty cool. So this button right here, this is how small it will be. In this huge box, that's how the button is going to appear. That small. So you can make this bigger, and you'll notice that the button will look bigger. But right now, the button text is very, very tiny. So we're going to try to fix that. A lot of people try to go into buttons and the inspection, and they really couldn't find anything here. That's because the button has two different parts. You must click this tiny arrow here, go to text, then you'll be able to change this. I'm just going to label this go to scene 2. Now, the text is still tiny. That's because we haven't set the size yet. Well, here's font size. There are two ways to do this. Some people are in class, so they should know how to do this. But the font size, you can make it 30 and all that, sure. But the best way to do it for this size is to click this button, best fit. It basically tries out all the possible font sizes, and it tells you which one looks the best. As soon as you click that, you'll be able to see that the letter is much clearer. Well, now if you click the play button again, notice that the button doesn't do anything. That's because the button has been made, but you have no idea what to transition into. Or at least the computer doesn't know where to transition into. So, this is what we're going to be doing. We're going to be coding this level manager. Now, these 3 slides I really cannot show to you, but we're just going to ignore this. We were supposed to do the challenge, but again, the tutorial making person probably won't like the fact that I'm doing his exact tutorial. So we're just going to name the scenes 1, 2, and 3, which we did. So here's the overview for today. If you want to stop the video and look at it, that's fine, but I'll be going over this anyway, so don't worry about that too much. So we have just created the button. This is basically the steps that I just got you through with. Here's a text. I'm going to be labeling this scene specifically as scene 1. Now, the text can also be found in the UI. So, what you can do is close this button, go to the hierarchy view, right click or control click, UI, and text. Notice that the text gets automatically placed into the canvas. A lot of people were having issues because they did this. They accidentally right clicked on the button and went to UI text. That just placed the text into a button. what that does is that since button is its master class for those of you that learn Java, it will move the text with it. You don't want that. So how you can fix it is get the text, drag it over into the canvas, and it should go out the button. Now, if you move the button, notice that the text isn't moving. Okay, that's good. Now, another thing that you'll be needing is readjusting the text size, because again, like the button, if you don't change the size, it will look that big. So here's what you can do. Drag it to the top and click the expand button right here. You can expand it out, you can expand it up, and notice that the text does get bigger. But it doesn't look as good. Pause the video and see if you can change that. It works the same way as the buttons text. So, when you go to text, you can just go ahead and click the best fit button and it should work. Now, when you click start, the background is blue. The text looks great, but I don't really like this background color blue. What you can do is go to main camera and background. You can drag this over to change the background color, as you can see in the camera preview, and you can even tone it up and down so that it can look green. I'm just gonna go with sky blue because that is my favorite color, and there we go. Alright, so new text, sure, I guess I can leave it as new text, but I'm just going to do this scene 1. And I will basically get this somewhat in the middle. Just click start just to make sure that everything's working fine. And there we go. So this is our scene 1. Now, if you go to the scene folder, after saving scene 1, you have scene 2. In scene 2, notice that it's empty. Well, that's because you're in a new scene. I'm just going to do this. I'm going to delete scene 2 and scene 3, and I'm just going to right click and go over to, let's see, there should be a copy and paste button if I'm not mistaken. Maybe they got rid of that in the newer versions, but what I can do is reveal in folder and go here, duplicate, and duplicate, and I can just go ahead and retitle this as scene 2 and scene 3. Okay, and as soon as you exit out, reload, there we go. Now you have scene 2 and scene 3 that look exactly like scene 1. That's because I don't want to take the time to, just go over the entire thing over again, because that would be a waste of your time. So I'm just going to title this to go to scene 3. Now, as soon as you go to scene 3, I'm going to title this to scene 2, and it should still be in best fit. There we go. That's your scene 2. I'm going to go to scene 3. Same thing, scene 3, and oh, by the way, I just made a mistake there. If you click enter, the enter does count as a space in Unity, even if you don't type anything in there. Therefore, it's important that you don't leave any empty spaces in a text. Still rich text and best fit. Rich text basically makes it the best quality possible. Let's see. For this, what I'm going to do is I will make this go back to scene 1 just to show that buttons work. So I'm going to go to text, scene 1. Nope, wrong text. Button text. There we go. Now 3. Oh, go to scene 1. Oh, okay. There we go. And now this will go to scene 3, and this will go to scene 2. And now, if you click start, obviously, still we haven't done anything. It won't go to the next level. So, here's what you can do. In the script level manager, opening MonoDevelop. I'll be sending the link to downloading MonoDevelop for people who don't have any form of Unity, I guess, something like Eclipse for Java. There is MonoDevelop for Unity. But for Microsoft's computers and like Windows computers, if you have Visual Studio, that's fine. But since I have a Mac and Mac isn't that great for running these kind of things, I just decided to download MonoDevelop. MonoDevelop is great for Mac, but if you have Visual Studio, you can go ahead and use that. Now, when I go back here, you just created the text. Good job. Here is basic methods and printing. So, basically, for those of you who have taken Java, it shouldn't be too hard to understand. Public basically allows you to use that same class or objects in different scripts. Like, for example, if I had a different script than a level manager script, which I probably won't for this project, you can use the methods that are in level manager inside of another class or files. Void just means it's not going to return anything. OnClick is used for buttons, and I'll be showing you what that does. But basically, it tells the button what it should do when it is clicked. Load level is basically used for scene transitioning, of course. It loads up another level, and it does terminate the previous level, although it can be brought back. Quit request basically quits out of the application. Notice that it only works for mobile. That's basically it quits out of the entire application. If you try to do it on Unity on your computer, that's like saying you should quit out of your computer, which probably won't work. So we can test the quit request later on, but when we actually do make a real game. But as of right now, just know that it's quit request. Debug.log, it's kind of like system.out.println. It basically prints something on the console. Alright, so void, as I said, don't return anything, but the rest of these that are listed here does. String returns a string, integer returns int, returns an integer, double returns a decimal, and etc. Hopefully everyone knows that we'll be using C#. So the proper name for loading a level is called application.loadLevel. Although after Unity 4, this hasn't been the most noted or the most accurate way to do it. This gets its job done, and it is very simple to teach and learn, so that's why I chose this for this tutorial. We might learn the other version, but we don't necessarily have to. So application.loadLevel, it basically tells the application, give me the next level, and it will load up that level. Application.quit is it quits out of the application. So conditionals, you should know if statements if you took Java. It's basically if this condition is met, then do something. If that condition isn't met, which is else, then do something else. It's kind of like if and then in English. Okay. If you can see down here, equals basically lets you check if they're equal. It returns either true or false. So if I say 2 equals 3, then the computer will return false. And notice that I wrote else if. Basically, you have to write else if until you reach your last condition. For example, if you want to check that something is less than, equal to, or greater than, you can do if something is greater than, then do something else if let's say speed equals max speed, don't do anything, and close bracket, and if you reach your last one, then else, and do some other string. Let's see. One of them got cut, so I'm just going to delete this part again. So yeah, that's pretty much about it for this. Switch statements, they're exactly like if statement, but I will be teaching you this unlike in class. Switch statement, basically, you get to put some variable here. So let's just say that it's an integer for now. So let's just say switch, let's say switch in here, there's 2, the number 2. So it would go through case. Case is basically like an else if. So case 1. Well, the number in here is 2, so it won't run anything that's in between here. Case 2, it will basically check that 2 equals 2 and run whatever is here. One function that you'll be needing is in switch statement is a break. As soon as you check that one case is correct, unless you have other cases that may be correct, you don't have to go on further. So at the end of each case, you can do some code and break. Break basically escapes out of this entire switch statement. Default is basically like else in if statement. Default does the same job, but you will never have to use switch statement because you have an if statement. For loop, basically it allows you to repeat a number of things. So if I go through this, int I set that to 0, and if it runs until I is less than number of enemies, and each time you run through this once, you will do I++. I++ means increment by 1. So it will run through this once, plus 1 to I, run through it again, plus 1 to I, and so on. While basically does the same thing as a for, except that they do have different functions sometimes. So this is for only when something is greater than something, or something is less than something, or something is equal to something. This is checking for every condition before, while this is a simpler version. Although for loops can do more. If you see that a while loop is possible, then it is probably better, I guess, to use a while loop. If you need to, you can think about what this does. I can just tell you right now. If cups in the sink is like, let's say 6, and each time you run through this, you do cups in the sink minus minus. Minus is basically increment by -1. So 6, then 5, then 4, then 3, then 2, then 1, and when it becomes 0, it goes to here. Says it asks 0 is 0 greater than 0. That's false, so it will quit out of this entire loop. Basic variables. One question that came up is a difference between a double and a float. Float is for super simple decimals like health, the ones that only require like maybe 1 decimal point or 2 decimal point. Double is for usually 3 or more decimals. They're usually longer decimals like time. Time, I think it goes up to like 8 decimals or something like that. I'm not sure, but definitely more than 3. Bool is what you use for booleans. Boolean, for those of you who don't know, is true or false. To declare integer, use int. To declare string, use string. Notice for you Java developers that for C# string is lowercase. Comment is // That's all you have to know. So here's a mini challenge that you guys were supposed to do on your own. Is to build your own level manager script. The one that would be most useful isn't any of these, but will be these two. So I'll give you these two. If you want to build it on your own, sure, go ahead. And I will be doing that in the video. Okay, so let's go over to your level manager script. So just double click on it and open it up with some program that you have. Basically, you won't be needing this, but let me just explain that to you briefly because some files do need these. Void start, basically, the only time that it runs is when this whole file is started. That's the only time it runs it. And so those will be things like maybe setting the score equal to 0, or like setting the time to 0 or something like that. You only need to do that once, but if let's say you want to update your score, then you would put in the update. It basically checks this method every frame, and it will basically do maybe like score +1 or like time +1, and it will take that into account. Alright, so for right now, let's just delete this and do void, meaning it doesn't return anything, which you don't have to if you click a button. Void, let's just say start. Oh, let's not do start. That's a terrible idea because start is one of the default classes that Unity does understand. So let's do maybe load level. Okay, and here a lot of people know what's going to go in, but for those of you who might not, I'm just going to put into these bracket string. Oh, parentheses, my bad. String. Notice that it's lowercase, and I'm just going to do string name. Basically, what you get to do in Unity is you get to specify name, and it'll basically load up that level. So how this will work is application.load level, as I showed you here, and just name. That's it. Let's do void quit. Okay. A lot of you will be asking, why don't I put anything in here? Well, that's because you're quitting out of the application. You're not necessarily loading up another level or anything like that. So therefore, you won't really need anything in this parentheses. So if you could do application dot, you'll notice that it basically gives you a lot of functions. You don't have to go through them all because that provides you with the code here. It's just application dot quit. Make sure that you have parentheses and semicolon. That's it. That's all you have to do. Another thing that I want you guys to try is debug. I think I've taught you this in previous scenes. There we go. Okay, so debug.log is how you can print some things out in the console. Therefore, it's kind of like system.out.println in Java. So if you do debug.log, notice that here it tells you object message. Object, you can basically just do a double quotation for strings, and you can basically type in anything here. What I'm going to be showing you is this. Let's just say loaded level colon plus name. Hopefully you guys can understand what this will do. Basically, the Unity will make the name into a string and add it on here. So it'll be loaded level scene 2 or loaded level scene 3, like that. Here I'm just going to do debug.log. Let's just do quitting the app. Why not? Okay, that's fine. And save it, and that's it. Simple enough. Now, if you go to the button, inspect, of course, you'll notice that as soon as you scroll down, you'll see on click. Remember that on click is for buttons, and basically it tells the button to do something when it is clicked. So how you can make a list, which is empty right now, is to click this plus button. Okay, so you'll notice that this doesn't really matter. You can just say runtime only because it's on a computer. But you'll notice that this takes in objects. But if you want to put in the script, you can. But a script isn't really an object. A script is just a script. Now, how do you make a script into an object? Here's how you do it. Go to this hierarchy view, right click, create empty, title it level manager, and drag and drop this script in there. The only thing that this game object, which is empty, has is a level manager script. It will not appear in the scene. Therefore, it is a hidden game object that has one script in it. Therefore, now if you go here, you can drag and drop this object in there. Notice that it changes into an object shape. If you click no function, now you'll see level manager, and you will see the level manager script the methods that you made. Now, some of you are wondering why we're not seeing them. We have the level manager script. Pretty sure some of you are going, that's because we don't have public. If you're thinking that, you're probably right. Public in Unity not only allows you to use it in different scripts, but it also allows you to use it in scenes. Therefore, whatever you want to use in this specific scene, or whatever you want to make it appear, you need to put a public. So public void load level and public void quit. Now, if you go back to the button, go to the on click after saving it, level manager, now you will see load level. Now, you have to specify what level you want to load. In this case, we want to load scene 2 because we're in scene 1. Okay, now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to play that and click on this. Notice that it says load level scene 2, but we're still in scene 1. Why is that? I'll explain that to you. The computer knows that you're supposed to get to scene 2, sure, but the computer doesn't know the order, so therefore you can't locate scene 2. Here's how you can do that. Go back to scenes, go to file, and build settings. This scenes and build, notice that it's empty. That means that the computer doesn't know which scenes are basically part of the project. Therefore, it won't be able to do any scene transitions. All you have to do is drag and drop. Again, like this, like that, and like this. Notice that as I'm putting the scenes, numbers are being generated on the right side. This basically says, oh, this is the first scene, this is the second scene, this is the third scene. Obviously starts from 0, like all coding. That means that scene 1 can transition to scene 2, scene 2 can transition to scene 3, scene 1 can transition to scene 3. Basically all the scenes can transition to itself. You can build it if you want to create it into a real project, but right now since we don't have anything, I'll just click X. And now if you click start, there we go. Now we're on scene 2. If you click scene 3, it won't do anything. Why? Because the button doesn't have a on click or a level manager. So, we'll just go ahead and quickly make that. Create empty, of course. Let's title this level manager. Let's go to scripts, drag and drop this level manager script in there. There we go. Now go to canvas, open it up, button, on click, plus level manager, function, level manager, and load level. From here we want to get to scene 3. Now we'll go to scene 3, do the same thing. Now you guys should be experts at this. Level manager, scripts, level manager, canvas, button, on click, level manager, no function, level manager, load level, scene 1. There we go. Now, if I click on this, let's go back to scene 1. First of all, there we go. Now, we're at scene 2, scene 3, and we're back to scene 1. There we go. That's how you do scene transitions. So, originally, I was going to have you guys make a real game, or like a sample tutorial, basically a project that involves all of the things that I taught you, but since I cannot post the video up on YouTube if I end up doing that, I won't, and I'll put this PowerPoint on the website so that you guys can look at it. But before you guys I guess end the video, I have another thing to teach you. We just created the level manager script. Good job. Here is coding the game. I'm going to be teaching you a couple of things. First thing is a random.range. You guys learned all this, but random.range, for those of you who took Java, it's basically a random number generator. nothing big of a deal there. Basically, you do random dot range. Notice the capitalization on both R's, and parentheses. You put in the lowest value to the biggest value. So if I want to print from 2 to 6, I would do 2, 6 like that. Or if you want to make the variables the minimum integer and maximum integer, you can do x, y, as long as you specify that those two are integers. If you want to use random.range, it's kind of like you have to put this line in using Unity engine.ui. Again, notice the capitalization. For those of you who do Java, this is basically like import. You basically put in a package so that the computer knows what random.range is. Okay. And it's basically also for UI materials, generally like text and buttons. And I'm going to be showing you this. Text.text. It basically, you can do text.text equals some string, most likely in double quotation. It basically allows the application to change written text in the text class. So how you'll be approaching this is you'll probably do like public text, right? Then you just declared a text variable, and you can do this text.text some string, and you most likely have to put this in the update. And each time, for example, if I do text.text score plus score, it'll basically find out the score, check to see if it increased or not, and it'll add it to this. So the result will be score 1, and then maybe in the next frame it's score 2, then 3, then maybe 7, then 10, and so on. Public text.text basically declares a text, as I showed you here, and you can do text.text. Let me change that. Text.text. You don't want to access the class, you want to access the variable that you just declared. And that's it. I will be posting that and that up on let's say the website, because I'm technically not allowed to talk about that, and hopefully you guys can understand these two slides here. The last thing I want you guys to try out on your own is adding a sound. So basically the sound stops whenever the scene stops, and there's a script to make it go on, but we're going to be learning that later. So I want you to just go to freesound.org. So if you go here and do freesound.org, you'll get here, and it should look something like this. If it can load up, come on, there we go. Basically you can log in. I think you have to at this point. And you can basically search for anything, like I even do video game, let's just say that, and it will allow you to do a lot of things, like what is this? There's that. Let's say, let me decrease the sound. What is this? Alright, that's alright. Let's see here. Maybe with this. Alright, I have no idea what that is, but alright. It's sound for something. Some people might need it. Alright, that's fine too. Ooh, laser beam. Cool. Alright, you can use those. You can search for a whole bunch of things, like maybe number. I don't know. That might give you something. Times. Okay. Number 8. Alright, that can be useful. See? So you can basically find almost everything you want from there. I want you to try to download one of them and try to put it into Unity. What you can do is basically you go to your project folder. I'm just going to do a review from folder because I'm too lazy. So into the folder, you can basically drag and drop the sound that you just downloaded. It should appear in your assets. You probably should create a folder like music, right? And in here, you probably place your music. What you can do is go here on the hierarchy, click right click or control click. You can do audio and click audio source. Don't mind the audio reverb zone yet, but just click audio source. Audio source is invisible thing. It looks like it appears on the scene. It is actually invisible. If you click on the audio source, you can choose the audio clip. This is where you'll be dragging and dropping in the audio that you just downloaded. And if you click play, it should play it for you. Let me see if I have any songs in here. I should, because I downloaded a whole bunch for previous games. Oh, what is that? Whoa, okay. Like a whole bunch of songs there. No. Ooh, exploring scary. Alright, I guess that works, kind of. I guess the computer refuses to load. There we go. Okay, so there's your exploring scary music. Probably not the best for this, but oh well, it gets the job done. So drag and drop that in there, and let's click play. Let's see what kind of sound that is. Alright, probably not the best for this, but as soon as I click that, the music stops. As soon as I go to scene 1, the music plays again. That's how it works. So if you want to put in different music for each one of the scenes, then it will obviously play different songs. There we go. That takes care of everything that I wanted to teach you. Remember to go to the website. I'll be linking that in the Gmail, because not many know that we have a website. So you guys can go there, download this. First look at slide 23 and then go to slide 24, because slide 24 is the answer key, and I don't really want you to look at that until you try it on your own.